The first day of Oregon Mania did not end with tacos. Aaron insisted that I try the Habanero Burrito Challenge at the San Diego Taco Company. It's basically a 5-pound burrito stuffed with habaneros, serranos, and tons of hot sauces. They have a wall of flame and a wall of shame. Aaron is proudly featured as one of the few men to finish the burrito. He told me it was probably only 2 pounds, but when I saw it, I knew it was a hell of a lot bigger. Of course, I'm not one to back down from a challenge, and so I dug in. Even with 20 tacos in my stomach, I pushed hard in the beginning. I was aware that I needed to move fast before the heat really slowed me down. I was careful with my choice of drink. I avoided anything carbonated because you really don't want those, bubbles filling up your stomach. So I went with a mix of juices, pineapple and mango. The owner of the San Diego Taco Company is actually a huge fan of Man vs. Food, and they were thrilled when they heard that I was on the show previously. But at this moment, he was more concerned to see whether or not I could handle his huge burrito, his habanero burrito. Even looking back, I'm amazed that I was able to move so quickly on the first part. I think I got through the first third in about 4 minutes. Unfortunately, I was not able to keep up that kind of pace. For 2 reasons. I had a lot of food in me already, and secondly, those peppers just really start burning. Of course, Aaron is a spice specialist. He loves eating really hot peppers. He typically carries sauces with him to different restaurants because whatever food they have on the menu that's spicy is not spicy enough for him. I handle my spice pretty well, but I'm not in his ballpark. And it's just the kind of deal where once I started this thing, I had to finish it. And that's pretty much all that motivated me to get this thing done. Still have very intense memories of how hot this burrito burned. It basically reached the point where every bite was a struggle. We're not quite there yet, but I still have very vivid memories of this. The burrito itself got its heat from 3 basic sources. The first was fresh habaneros that were chopped up. I'd say there's about 8 to 9 of them. Perhaps a dozen serrano chilies, which are less hot, but taken together, they really pack a 1-2 punch. And the third thing was the presence of this sauce that was made using habaneros, among other things. There's no ghost chili and there's no extract, so in that sense, it's a more natural heat, but it's just really off the charts. When I went in the last weekend of July in 2012, there were actually only 10 previous winners. The wall of shame went all the way from the ceiling to the floor type thing. Just dozens of people had fallen victim to this challenge. Early on, when I began discussing with Aaron different challenges that I might do on this second Oregon trip, which we called Oregon Mania II, this burrito came to the front of the list. And one of the reasons was because Aaron really liked the shop, the owner, and the owner was just so down with food challenges and would have been he felt really thrilled to see someone come in with my challenge experience and try his burrito. Given the size of the challenge, it's probably one of the most difficult heat challenges I've approached. I mean, a lot of people make fun of, the heat challenge at Buffalo Wild Wings. Some people call it an entry-level eating challenge, but, it's still hard enough to get down, heat. This is a mixture of both heat and capacity. It is a huge burrito. I mean, I've been to plenty of restaurants that serve, these 5 and 6 pound burrito challenges, and the failure rate on them is good enough. You pack on all this damn spice, and you're in for it. You can already kind of see that I'm sweating away there, pulling out the napkins. Part of the problem, of course, is that I'm starting to get a little bit full. Not uncomfortably full, but full to the point that my body is telling me to quit eating. Part of the problem, of course, was the 20 taco challenge I completed just about 30 minutes prior to starting this one. Took down a little bit of liquid with the tacos, and now that the heat's kicking in on the burrito, I really have to tank down the fluid in order to get everything going. And my body really, really doesn't want it. Aaron's peeking it at the clock there. In terms of this challenge, you get, if I remember correctly, you get 30 minutes. But with the way that heat challenges affect your body, everything from your face to your stomach, you probably don't want to take those 30 minutes. You want to get through it as quickly as you can. On an empty stomach, nothing in there, just going in hot, I'd say I could probably do this in under 10 minutes. But the presence of food in the stomach makes things a little bit difficult. It's one thing to be able to eat 9 or 10 pounds, but you may not probably you're not going to be able to do it quickly. First 3-4 pounds go in fast, and everything else is going to be a struggle. And you can see from the video here that I am in hell, literally in hell. I don't know if Aaron got any kick watching this, but looking back at it, it is a study in just human suffering. Remember how the sweat was pouring down my forehead, my eyes were dripping. I felt this heat in my ears, heat in my throat. It's just a full body reaction to the capsaicin and the peppers. It's the kind of stuff you don't really want to wish on your worst enemy even. And here I am, willingly subjecting myself to it. I guess some people ask, why would you want to do something like this? Why would you take on a massive heat challenge? I think the appeal to heat challenges, is just the natural high that capsaicin releases in your body. I guess if it's a huge challenge, you could have some bragging rights about how much tolerance you got. But just given the pain that I suffered both during the challenge and the next day, I would not recommend doing this again. I suffered massive stomach cramps, and it came to the point where it just felt like I was doing an antacid eating challenge the next day. Every time that pain would flare up, I just take a bunch of little Tums, and it would cure it for a while. As far as the food goes, taste, I would give this a full 5 out of 5 freaks. I know I give out a very good food rating a lot, but the food tasted really good. You just kind of got to separate it from the effects of the heat. Taking 1 or 2 bites of habanero is not so bad. It's when you're trying to do, a whole 4 or 5 pounds of it that, it's just agony. On the heat scale, habanero is not the most intense burn, but the fact that there's just so much of it makes it so extensive. The burn just keeps going and going. Obviously, eating 1 ghost chili would not be as much agony or trauma as this is. Of course, you can see the pile of napkins forming. That's always a sign that, I'm paying less attention to the eating and more attention to, the physical symptoms of my body. Drinking more water, more of that liquid in order to distract myself, force the food down. Of course, as the challenge is going on, I just wanted it to end. Didn't want to be there any longer. It's impressive enough to do one challenge, I guess. And, Aaron was just thrilled to see that me, tack this on as a second one in the same day. But of course, he was under the assumption from, his own burrito experience that it was a much smaller item. And I watched this video on YouTube on his channel, which, I put a link in the description below. He's got some good stuff out there, and I, watched a lot of his videos before, taking my way back to Oregon. And honestly, I just got to say that the portion burrito he got was a bit smaller than mine. But you can't complain. Eaters got to eat. And I just took my lumps and went with it. If it's 5 pounds, it's 5 pounds. Just, that drive, that will to win, won't let me quit. And I am just in agony. This is a study of human suffering at its finest. Of course, it's not that anyone else's fault but mine that I chose to order this item. Food is great, and I'd go back and try something else they got. Agony goes on, and eventually I pulled out the win around the 14-minute mark, but it was by no means easy. I don't know if it's worth it. My face is now on the wall of fame.